Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Life Stories. Today we're back with Reddit / idontworkherelady. Let's see what other kind of crazy stories we got today. Let's get started. Our first story is titled, and very ominously so, I've done what many wish to do. This happened earlier today. I went into Walmart on my way home from work. I'm a 19-year-old male who's 6'4", 285 pounds, and work in construction. So, dirty jeans, ratty t-shirt, and filthy work boots. So I walk in and start browsing the aisles when a sweet old lady asked me to get some snack cakes off the top shelf. So I say yes, ma'am, and get her the snacks. My parents always taught me to be polite and courteous. And I tell her to have a good day. As I turn to leave, I hear the sound of a Karen, dumb expletive, or DC, clearing her hoarse, 20-year-old smoker's throat. I try to ignore her when I hear her yell, "Hey, idiot!" I turn and say, "Pardon me, ma'am?" and she goes into her tirade. "What abhorrent behavior! How would you treat a customer like this? What are you, freaking stupid or something?" I tell her, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I don't work here." She yells, "Bull crap! You're obviously lying through your teeth." I tell her, "No, really, I don't work here, and I don't have time for this." I turn and start walking when all 5 feet of her grabs my shoulder to spin me. It didn't work. She starts screaming at me, and I'm getting really aggravated. I explode, yelling, "Who the heck do you think you are putting your hands on me? I don't know what idiot world you live in where it's okay, but if you ever put your dumb hands on me again, I will break them. Are we clear?" She is speechless that someone dared to talk to her like that. Her husband, entitled Dick, or ED, comes running after hearing our little shouting match, and comes up to me screaming, "What the heck is wrong with you? Why are you yelling at my wife?" "I can tell you that she'll lose a hand if she touches me again." "I ought to kick your butt!" He proceeds to shove me. Now I'm enraged, and I've had enough. I hooked him in the jaw and kicked him in the chest. It was then when the manager and 2 deputies show up and put me in cuffs. The manager and deputies ask each of us what happened, and of course the entitled couple lied. DC saying I harassed and assaulted her, and then assaulted her husband. I tell them what happened and requested that they review the security cameras. DC and ED go white when the deputies and manager return. The deputies take the cuffs off of me and put them on ED, and the manager bans DC from the store. Best trip to Walmart ever. Now, usually I don't advocate for physical violence, but, if a Karen puts their hands on you, Moving on, it's becoming clear to me that our stories are covering a very broad number of topics, because our next story is, "No, sir, I'm not qualified to empty your urine." Backstory. I'm 16. I have ADHD, so I really don't like to be bored. So, to keep my life as busy as possible, I was looking around almost a year ago and applied to a volunteer role at a local hospital. I volunteer in a post-surgery section for mostly patients who got surgery on their digestive system, but also for overflow patients who don't have space anywhere else. I've been in this section for around 5 months now, and I'm friends with a lot of the nurses and techs. I only volunteer once a week, so I usually don't see a patient more than once. The jobs that I do are mostly secretary jobs, file information, answer phone calls, that sort of thing. But I also answer the patient call lights and sometimes bring them items like a sandwich or a water refill. But I'm not allowed to do anything that includes contact with the patient or any bodily fluids, because I could get infected with something. So those things I ask the techs and nurses to do. Sometimes I'll ask them to do something and they'll trade me for a task they need to do that I can do, such as getting water. On to the story. I had just answered a call light that a patient needed to use the restroom, so I got up and asked the tech assigned to the room to help the patient. She asked me to get some water for another patient, so I did that. I came into his room and filled his water cup, and he asked me to empty his urinal for him, which is the jug that he, urinates in. I can't do that because of the whole bodily fluid thing, so I told him I'm not allowed to, but that I would ask the tech. I immediately went to find her and let her know that he needed it whenever she had time. His urinal wasn't full, it had less than an inch of urine, so it wasn't an emergency, and the techs usually have like 10 rooms at a time. Then, I sat back down at my desk, which happens to be across from his room, so he could see me because he had the door open. I went back to my computer things when I heard him say, "So, are you going to empty my urinal or not?" with an attitude. I again told him that I actually couldn't, but his tech would be there shortly. She shows up about a minute later and comes out and talks to me afterward, because she knows me. She tells me that he told her to report me to HR because I wasn't doing my job. She explained to him that I really wasn't qualified, that I was a student, and he finally understood. This could be an easy misunderstanding if I had the same attire, but all the techs and nurses wear blue scrubs, different shades for techs versus nurses. And I wear a red polo that clearly says Junior Volunteer, with khaki pants and a belt. Yes, I'm Jake from State Farm. But I mean, he can go ahead to HR all he wants. I'll be so sad that I lost my pay of $0. How will I ever support my family now? Wait, it gets better. After having an attitude with me and trying to get me fired from my volunteer job, when he finds out I can't do what he was asking, but am very helpful with everything else, he starts being nice to me when I bring him things. He even said, "You're very helpful," when I brought him a sandwich. It's nice that he was nice to me and appreciated what I was doing, but he shouldn't have been so quick to judge and try and have me legit fired. It was such a two-faced move. Reminds me of mean high school girls acting like your friend when they want something from you. I don't know about any of you or the OP, but high school was bad enough to give me digestive tract issues, so maybe there's a correlation? And our final story of the day is titled, Mistaken for a Future Shop Employee. This story is a little old now, but I'll never forget it. I'm from Canada, and not sure if this shop is in the States or elsewhere, but we have a computer store called Future Shop. Think of Best Buy, except everything is black and red instead of blue and yellow. Whenever someone in the family wanted an electronic issue resolved, they usually turned to me growing up. I was always the savvy one about anything and everything related to computers or video games. In my early 20s, my sister asked me to go help her pick out an iPod and which was the best. That day, I was wearing a solid black t-shirt and had a red trim around the short sleeves. I didn't think much of it, but it was almost the exact same as the shirt the Future Shop employees wore, minus the collar and name tag. We get there and go to the music area, where all the iPods are behind glass. This was before the iPod Touch, and the one that was all the rage was the light-up display on this big, thick 500 megabyte iPod with the wheel still on it. For those who remember that. I started giving my sister the rundown on the different costs versus features of the iPod and the iPod Nanos, etc. It didn't take long looking out the corner of my eye for me to see one or two people standing just out of range of us, holding items, or waiting for me to finish my conversation with my sister. Mid-conversation, I quickly realized what was happening and started talking a little louder with my sister, dropping sentences like, "Man, if I worked here, I'd know everything inside out," or, "Geez, I almost look like I work here." Saving a few customers' embarrassment, it managed to brush most of them off as they went to look for an actual employee. All except one woman, who continued to wait, then followed as we went around the corner. My sister and I were window shopping the aisle when I wandered far enough away for the woman to finally step in. "Hi there, I'm looking for memory cards for one of these." Now, I shouldn't have just rolled with it and informed her from the beginning that I wasn't an employee, but at the same time, I didn't mind helping her. Honestly, I don't think my sister even noticed. I led her over to the camera section and tried to walk away. She stopped me, saying she didn't know which memory card was the best, and I tried to suggest she speak with the man behind the counter in his department for advice. This was where she got a little rude, saying things like, "I'm not waiting for him, I'm asking you." To which I finally confessed that I don't work here. I tried to say it in a friendly tone, but she just stared at me before her face turned into a scowl. She began leaning towards my face. "That is absolutely rude, trying to brush off customers because you don't want to deal with me. I need a freaking memory card. It's not that hard to figure out." Again, I tried to assure her, even laughing a bit, that I really didn't work here, but she was pointing at my shirt, calling bullcrap. Still trying to be helpful, I tried to flag her down a different person, but now she wanted to stick with me. For the sake of winning the argument, she started demanding that I pick out a memory card for her. I could see my sister was finally starting to wander over, so I remember looking at her camera, then telling her which memory card type to buy, and just pointed her at the different priced cards. I'm pretty sure my sister caught the end of it, where she picked one out and got in my face saying, "Thank you," loud and sarcastically. My sister was half confused, half laughing, to which I had to explain the whole ordeal. I could be imagining it, but I remember seeing her at the help desk on the way out. I imagine that she was probably either trying to get me fired or in trouble, only to find out that I was telling the truth. And these stories just keep coming. I'm beginning to think we should all start shopping in plain white. Unless they open a new tech store where everyone wears plain white, that would be a problem. Anyway, besides that, that's all the time we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Trent. Thank you so much for tuning in to another installment of Life Stories. There's more content coming, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.